Welcome one, welcome all to our little show over here called Winner Take All. I'm your host ForneverWorld, and we super official with this one right now. In case you don't know, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell to get notified. Every Sunday we drop a big video talking about all the latest and greatest manga and what's happening in the scene. In this episode, of course, we've got Black Clover, we got My Hero Academia, we got One Piece, we got Jujutsu Kaisen, and we've got Chainsaw Man to round things off. So yeah, we've got a lot to discuss. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's jump into another exciting episode of Winner Take All. Yeah, I don't know, it kind of comes across cringy. Yeah, winner take all. Let's talk. I must go, must leave this house. I must go, the time is now. I must go, it's time to get out. Okay, people, so like I said, exciting episode for this event. Y'all already know at the end of the episode, I will give you guys my list of the best manga chapters of the week. I will also include, even though they won't be in this video, they'll have their own separate videos, Boruto and Dragon Ball Super, because this was a pretty eventful weekend for manga, to say the least. We got 2 monthly releases that I love to talk about, and of course, we got the weekly grind, and I think I want to start this one off with Black Clover. I feel like Black Clover, while it was definitely an eventful chapter, ultimately it was a blazing, quick-paced thing, so let's do it, shall we? And 334 takes place from where the last one left off, in the midst of Asta and Lucious Zogratis throwing down, and I ain't gonna lie, this chapter felt massively, immensely disrespectful to our boy. Our boy, I ain't gonna lie, between the fact that he was already done so dirty, I mean, it was the truth and he needed to hear it, and his dream needed to shatter, that unfortunately the mermaid has no legs, so to speak, when Sister Lily turned him down a couple of chapters ago. But it seems like his world is coming crashing down around him post time skip, because then following that, y'all already know, Lucious Zogratis, aka the man that took over Julius's body and been in Julius all along, he's, you know, starting his reign of quote-unquote terror, so to speak, even though, again, it's a question of morality, right? Like, honestly, being 100% about it, if you really look at it, the problematic aspect with Lucious Zogratis is the means, because ultimately, he wants the same thing that every magic knight and everybody that is actually on a righteous path wants. He wants peace. He's just willing to do the most horrendous things to get to that peace, because he sees that, for whatever reason, that horrendous action, that path, will lead to righteousness. And it's just like, yo, dog, you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? You can't slaughter everybody because down the road everyone's gonna be happy. It's like, no, fam, that's no bueno. And the chapter opens up with showcasing the advancements that Asta has had over the last year and 3 months of training and everything that he's been doing, because apparently his devil form has taken a massive upgrade, or at the very least he's shown something like a, I guess, think of like Dragon Ball, where, like, you know, Goku would figure out a way to, like, hey, I could use Super Saiyan, but I could use it like this, so that way it's not draining per se, because now he's able to use a partial Devil Union form, which ultimately allows him essentially double the time that he had prior to this form, where basically now he got 10 minutes to throw down in this epic form, which I'd imagine there's still going to be advancements, right? Because essentially that's just kind of like, hey, I'm only using partial of my powers, so I'm getting double the amount of time. It isn't exhausting me as quickly, so it's kind of like a little shortcut, so to speak, but it's not a buff per se, so it's just allowing him to throw down for a little bit longer. And while that's definitely creative, and I'm glad that, hey, we're seeing that Asta wasn't just sitting around the last year and some change, he figured some things out, still, it's telling me that we're still in store for probably another power-up or two with Asta, for better or worse. I know some people, they're sick to death with seeing new form, but I have no doubt in my mind that there's still another level to this Devil Union if he's kind of using this kind of subversed version of the Devil Union transformation. And a lot of this chapter was honestly monologued via Lucious Zogratis. For starters, he's like, yo, anti-magic is the natural enemy to my powers. And once again, the separation between like Julius's powers and Lucius's powers, because he's obviously fighting using Julius's, you know, time magic, and he's like, yo, that's the natural enemy to time magic. But later in the chapter, he demonstrates that it's not only time magic. So it's pretty much, again, like I said, not necessarily a retread, but somewhat of a remix of the pottery situation, where it was was William and him, and there was two different magics in one body. That's kind of the same concept, which is why I refer back to what I said in the last episode of Winner Take All, where I truly believe that, honestly, this was possibly what was going to happen all the way back in the Elf arc. Maybe this was going to be the big plot twist and wrap it all up, because it's similar in nature. Again, different execution, different details, but nevertheless, the whole concept is somewhat the same. And I love it how Lucious tries to touch Asta, but his other magic doesn't work on him, and he's like, I knew it. Basically, he can only throw hands with Asta, and that's something of a pretty much, I guess, element that I wish would have been more utilized throughout Black Clover, because keeping it real, Asta being the main character in and of itself is kind of problematic to showcasing adversity in the series, simply because you always know that this is a magic-filled world, everybody fights via magic, and if the main character himself is an anti-magic user, it's pretty much, okay, well, how do you bring the fight to him then? If he could just hit you with his sword and nothing you do is going to affect him, well, okay, we're gonna throw hands. Kind of like Otsutsuki, so to speak. Their weakness is physical attacks. That's pretty much the same case for Asta, except, let's be clear here, the difference between something like an Otsutsuki or whatnot is Asta can throw hands too. The buff physique ain't for no reason, dog. Asta, he's that dude. And we see that even as they're fighting or whatnot, he's going toe-to-toe with Lucious. I'm going to say right here and now that I feel if it wasn't for Sister Lily being right there and Asta not being the Chad that I wish he would be and be like, man, that bitch just turned me down, yo, I don't give a fuck what happened to that musty mouth, oh. He clearly was having to hold back. There was times in the chapter where he's even, you know, referencing like, damn, if I attack, I'm going to hurt Lily. So I honestly feel like there was potential if Lily wasn't there for Asta to actually, I don't know, defeat per se, but he would have fared a lot better against Lucious than he did in this chapter, because, man, talk about down bad. And Lucious goes on even further to say that essentially, no, he's not the threat. Asta is the threat to world peace, because again, he's the one anomaly, the little blip in the system that stops his whole, you know, foretold destiny of bringing peace to the world, because he's not a part of that vision, so to speak, of the future, which was more than likely Astaroth that gave him that insight. Hello, that whole devil that said, damn, you knew it was gonna happen exactly like that. Also, you know, his whole time magic and whatnot. So pretty much it's a question again of morality and again means to an end. Asta, he is not willing to sacrifice people during the means process. Lucious definitely is. And it gave me some, in my opinion, 7 Deadly Sins feel. Hear me out with this, where he's like, yo, I was born as a devil magic user, you know, I grew up in a family of devil magic users, but I managed to purify my magic, and it kind of switches the concept up of the look and the feel of, you know, an angelic look, all white with the halo and whatnot, being the villainous aspect, similar to how the 7 Deadly Sins, you know, flipped everything upside his head, where you started to see like, oh, the ones that look like the bad guys aren't actually the bad guys, it's the angelic side. I like that Black Clover did that as well, again, subverting certain things, using certain aspects from other series, but then making its own twist on it. And yeah, I ain't gonna lie, when we finally see Lucious in that new form, that I guess divine form, so to speak, I rock with the design heavy. There's no question, you never should question if Tabata can draw some really awesome and dope character designs. Arguably some of the best, if not the best, character designs in Weekly Shonen Jump. Like every time there's a new form, I'm like more excited about what it looks like than what it could do. Like what it could do, I'm sure it's gonna be epic, but the designs just always freaking hit, and this was no exception. To which Lucious says, yo dog, this is what a true human looks like. And again, that form, man. And he plays dirty. Again, the difference between somebody like Asta and him is that, no, whatever it takes, doesn't matter, and teleports behind Sister Lily, the main weakness and the main reason why Asta doesn't catch this W, because I'm going to continue to say I think Asta potentially could have catch it if it wasn't for Sister Lily being there, because apparently his magic is soul magic and he transforms the soul of anyone he touches, and that makes sense. Pretty much that's how he was able to put Julius in a slumber, so to speak. He pretty much used his soul magic on Julius within his own consciousness, which is really freaking bizarre. Basically, again, think like Get Out, you know, the movie Get Out, where like, you know, pushing things into a corner or whatnot. That's pretty much what he was able to do to Julius. So I have no doubt in my mind that he used his magic on Julius, but just like any other magic, I'd imagine if Asta was to hit him hard enough with his anti-magic, it would probably knock Julius within there And maybe that's actually, oh god, I hope I didn't just figure out how the final fight is gonna end, with Asta hitting him with an anti-magic attack and Julius waking up from it and jumping in the last hour and saying, hurry, finish me off, you're the next Wizard King. 3 months later. I get it exactly right, imagine. And with Lucious playing dirty, like I said, that's pretty much how Asta is able to not do jack squat, because anything he could do, he's gonna end up hurting Sister Lily because she's right there. And also, man, oh man, talk about heartbreak on heartbreak, because it's already bad enough that dog, you know, she turned him down, but then on top of that, she gets turned into whatever the heck he did here with his soul magic, and she says, Asta, for the sake of the world, die. Oh my god, I need that in the anime right now. That's exactly how the audio has to play out. No music, no nothing, just Asta looking horrified hearing that particular tone and everything. Oh god, I could imagine it now. They better bring back the Black Clover anime, please. And Asta is slashed while being surprised by Sister Lily's words, and god damn it, no. Yo, how we come back from a time skip and you think, you know, it's supposed to be, hey, epic times, we're about to show off our badassery, but it's a time skip to straight hell. And Lucious again with the menacing dialogue, oh you fragile soul, you can't beat me the way you are. Like, just, it's crazy because in a weird way, yes, he wants good stuff, but what a menace, what an absolute devil. And he says, farewell, flaw of the world, and Asta falls with a blow to his body and his heart. Honestly, it seems like we just came into straight up Asta's tragedy. If that's what you want to call this arc, then so be it, because it's just tragedy upon tragedy. Yes, it started off with this, hey, happy-go-lucky ceremony, you're one step closer to being Wizard King, only to find out, oh, the Wizard King is kind of corrupted and a piece of trash. Well, not Julius, but you know, the person that's controlling him, to be shot down by the woman he loves, to be not necessarily betrayed, but basically hurt with hurtful words on top of it by the woman he loves. And yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of digging it. You know, everybody complained about how many wins Black Clover was giving the good guys throughout the last war and stuff like that. Well, Tabata was like, okay, you don't like seeing the good guys win? Let me show you the good guys in absolute despair and freaking straight up chaos. And yeah, very quick chapter, definitely a lot of action oriented stuff, but it was still like demonstrating that we're not going into all hunky-dory. So if you was coming into Black Clover with this time skip expecting a lot of the same tone and the same vibe of what we got last arc, you're gonna be mistaken, because yes, even though last arc I still say that there was some really awesome stuff, I am never gonna take away Magna's fight against Lucifero and Dante and stuff like that, hells no. But for the most part, there were a lot of times where it was like, god damn, you know, they kind of breezing and cutting through these dudes like butter. Yeah, the one guy, the hope of Black Clover's villainry, Lucious Ogratis, is here. He's honestly in the running, and there's not that much competition, to be honest with you. It would literally just be like the whole Patry William Vengeance situation. Like, that's the only other villain that I would say that pretty much was on the level of Lucious right now. But I think it's safe to say that, yeah, hands down, Lucious is the best villain of Black Clover right now, right? Like, I mean, even coming into this post-time skip yet again, it's just showing, yo, he's on a whole other level. He's very interesting. There's layers to him. This is the villain of Black Clover all along. I wish we would have got more of it and sooner, but nevertheless, another really, really epic chapter. Short, fast, very action-paced, but kind of pretty much par for the course for the series that we've been reading for 330 something chapters. Black Clover, baby. And yeah, I'm curious what you guys think about this. For starters, Asta's L. Do you think that if Sister Lily wasn't there, he would have been able to take him out right then and there, even with that new form? Again, being the natural enemy to that, it seems that it's pretty much cut and dry. And I don't know if Lucious is going to run around with Sister Lily moving forward by his side to make sure that Asta can't do anything, but it's just going to be a matter of trying to team up, get Sister Lily away from him by any means necessary, and then again a one-on-one. And well, it probably won't be a one-on-one now that I think about it. It'll probably be Asta and Yuno versus him, showcasing, yo dog, we the ones that are gonna be the real Wizard Kings. And do you think that my prediction of how it's going to all play out, with essentially Asta hitting with the anti-magic sword, somehow that going through to freeing Julius from that soul magic, and Julius taking over, giving enough time for them to get the final blow in? I mean, it feels very, I guess you would say, formulaic, but I don't know. And your overall thoughts and expectations for Black Clover with chapter 335 and beyond. Epic chapter, sweet, action-packed, and it brought the heat. Definitely though, it's like, wow, despair, despair, despair. Poor Asta. And I'm glad we started off with an action-packed chapter, because some of the other chapters in this video are not necessarily the most action-packed or whatnot. Some of them had a lot of very interesting moments, like One Piece chapter 1057. Pretty much the wrap-up, the final nail in the coffin to the Wano arc. Wano officially ends here, and I ain't gonna lie, it kind of got me even reflective to a certain degree of my own life, because some of these One Piece arcs be going for ages. If I'm not mistaken, Wano started in 2018, somewhere around there. I kind of vaguely remember it being in that time period. Wano's been going on forever, so to see it finally come to a close, it kind of made me think like, damn dog, I've had a lot of changes in my life since Wano started. And yeah, it also makes me think like, okay, so if Wano lasted about 4 years in the manga and we're going into the final arc, that easily could mean that the final arc of One Piece could last way longer than even that, because even though Oda said he wants to drop it in 3 or finish it in 3, nevertheless, if Wano went for 4 and there's so many more things that need to be covered besides, you know, like what Wano did. Wano was kind of a compact arc, and from time to time you see the reverie. Yeah, this is probably going to be 6-7 years, and maybe Oda might be optimistic about 3, but he's been wrong so many times, as he said himself, so I'm thinking it's going to be a lot longer. But either way, man, what an emotional chapter. Honestly, 1057 got me emotional with a lot of the different things that happened, and it feels like really a farewell to a part of even my life to a certain degree, because if you think about it, like One Piece, if you've been following this journey all these years, is almost like a good time marker for your life. So definitely got me emotional. But there was one thing, and I think a lot of fans agree with me, I've seen a little bit of chitter chatter about it over on the interwebs. One thing in particular, I was like, damn Oda, all of this, I mean all of the teasing and foreshadowing and all of this stuff with Yamato, only for things to go the way it did. But let's start from the top, because it's the evening of the Fire Fest ceremony, pretty much solidifying, you know, the ending of Kaido's era, the ending of the Kurozumi clan and all of that stuff, which rightfully so, you know, you got celebration, and Wano needs uplifting right now. These people have been in absolute hell for the last 20 years, eating out of dumpsters, starving and stuff like that. So yeah, rightfully so, they need this type of uplifting spirit, also showcasing the new rulers of the lands of Wano. Just perfectly placed. And then we jump straight into one of my complaints of Yamato solidifying that right now they're not going with Luffy on his journey, and they already discussed it with Luffy. And I'm gonna keep it real, I'm disappointed. It kind of feels like not a retread per se, but a similar situation of what happened with Jinbei, where Jinbei was originally gonna join up with them, and then Jinbei was like, well, I gotta do this first, well, I gotta do that first, one more thing, don't worry, I'm eventually gonna join you guys. And it took forever for Jinbei to become a member of the Straw Hats. With this one, I ain't gonna lie, I was so excited. I was like, yo dog, kid of Kaido, this is gonna be like the most grandiose, oh my god, Yamato is damn near close to the big 3 of the Straw Hats' power. This is gonna be freaking sick. So to see Yamato stay behind on one half, I am extremely disappointed. Like, I get it, something to look forward to down the road, but man, Oda, most of Wano was about, you know, freeing themselves from the shackles of being trapped on Wano. But there's another aspect to it. I mean, for starters, the responsibility aspect of like, yo, you being on Wano is a massively important thing, because you leaving especially isn't going to help Wano protecting themselves. And look what happened with when Odin left Wano the last time. That's where, you know, Orochi was able to infiltrate and do all the things he did, and Wano ultimately fell. So it's kind of a responsibility. But even more so than that, the difference between then and now with Yamato being here on Wano is Yamato had no choice. Yamato was a prisoner to Kaido. This is now Yamato's choice to stay in Wano. And also there's more explanations of, hey, Odin started his journey with, you know, touring Wano first and stuff like that, and Yamato wants to be just like Odin. So in that aspect, yeah, cool. But more so importantly is that this is Yamato's choice. They're no longer a prisoner and forced to be here. And if that's their choice to stay right now, okay, I get it. Still salty, I ain't gonna lie. I love Yamato as a character, and I'm like, really? All this chitter chatter only to leave Yamato behind? Even the last couple chapters was solidifying, no, Yamato's going. Like, damn Oda, damn you. No, I'm sure there's a perfect explanation for it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's to not outshine the One Piece Film Red movie right now by adding an epic character to the crew, where you're supposed to be thinking about Film Red and Uta. And then it goes into some of my favorite parts of the chapter. Pretty much Momonosuke being super upset with Luffy and them dipping without even a goodbye. And realistically, yeah, I'd be like that too. Like, wow, I meant that little to you. You that rude and messed up of a person. You got a cold heart, fam. Like, yo, I got mad love for you. How could you do this to me? Like, Momo woke up this morning excited to learn swordsmanship from Zoro, only to see that the Straw Hat said bye to everybody but him. So yeah, I would be pissed off too. And I love just seeing, even though it was all that tough guy bravado, it wasn't genuine by any means, but when he's charging through, like, and Kinemon is like, yeah, nah, that's disrespectful, fam. I'm gonna have to cut him in half. This ain't right. We ain't rocking like that. I was like, yeah, boy, like, showcasing flexing. The new Shogun is on some epic badassery. I was like, let's do this, baby. Show him who's boss. Show him that you really are fit to rule Wano, because you ain't taking no shorts from nobody. And we even got a little bit of a reflection of their journey. I mean, I read the chapters 100 million times, you know what I'm saying? I watched the episode, so it was nice, I guess, of a reflection to just see how much Luffy really means to Momonosuke. Brought him from the depths of despair when Momonosuke thought it was hopeless, where Luffy came and said, nah, don't worry, I'll be Kaido, no problem, we're gonna get it done. And definitely something that I feel like is going to hold a lot of weight moving forward into One Piece, because remember, yes, there was a camaraderie that was built and formed with Law and the Straw Hats and Luffy and all of that good stuff, but as Law and Kid are setting sail again to dip out of Wano, one of the things that Law reiterates yet again, which he said already a couple of different times, is that, remember, from this point on, if we meet up in the seas, we're not cool no more. Basically, I'm gonna knock your block off and don't get mad or complain about it. I feel like that's gonna hold weight. He's genuinely gonna be coming for blood next time he sees Luffy. He's gonna basically make his heart a little bit colder, and he's reaffirming that to Luffy. And yeah, I feel like at some given point we are gonna have some sort of tough battle against Law. It's not just empty words. If he's repeating this over and over, Oda doesn't do things without reason or rhyme. He is going to have Law be a menace at some given point, and by golly, I'm ready to see it. At first, I ain't gonna lie, there was points where I was like, well, maybe Law is gonna dip out on the Heart Pirates, just like Jinbei inevitably leaving his Sun Pirates, and we're gonna get some sort of, you know, big group on. But no, we're gonna get some action, hardcore action. If anything, I could see more so down the road, despite the fact that Kid is the asshole loudmouth. I could see that if anything, Kid is not gonna rock like that, and Law will. And then we cut to the part where Momo arrives after ravaging through Wano, trying to get to Luffy, tackling Luffy onto the ground, and is like, yo, dog, you violated the Shogun, you did it wrong. But immediately falls back into that little kid that he truly is. It says, yo, how could you abandon your two closest comrades that you've been knowing forever? You didn't even say goodbye. Like, how could you do this? And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that was easily the most emotional part and my favorite part of the chapter. It got me emotional. It's kind of like that whole message that if you watch any show that has like a big brother little brother situation, where the little brother unfortunately always gets left behind, and that's sad. Like, I mean, go to The Boys, go to any show that has a situation like that, and it's kind of the same way. So I understood and I felt Momonosuke to the fullest when he's like, yo, dog, that's so wrong. And he's just sad there, telling him like, you made me happy, you helped me to be able to smile again, I want to be with you forever. Which I was kind of like, pause on that one, buddy, what's going on there? Legitimately, it had me emotional, and I was like, oh wow. But I love the fact that Luffy wasn't completely being an asshole about it. I'm glad that it was actually still through and through true to Luffy's character, where he was like, yo, I've been waiting this whole time for you so that we could give you this. Usopp, is it ready? And he gives Momonosuke his flag and says, yo, dog, I know you on the inside. That whole tough guy Shogun stuff, it's cute. I know who you are on the innards. And even though he still kind of calls him like weak or whatever, but he's like, yo, you like my little brother. And that right there, I ain't gonna lie, that hit. That moment right there showcased that Luffy, despite the fact that he's always just unpredictable to a certain degree, despite the fact that Oda purposely never gives us Luffy's inner dialogue, his inner monologue, his thoughts and whatnot, he's a thoughtful person, and he's never gonna roll in no cruel or messed up way. From the very beginning when he helped Kobe till now, if he rocks with you, he rocks with you to the end. And also, it kind of does a couple of different things. Not only does it help out Wano, it basically showcases like, yo, dog, you come to Wano, yeah, show them that flag and they'll know you mess with Wano, you messing with me. So it kind of also doubles as it's a great parting gift. It helps to boost the morale over there. It's a really awesome thing for Momonosuke, so he feels better. But also, it's planting his flag down. So it's not necessarily needing that nut job Bartolomeo that's been running around screaming, burn his flag down, this is Luffy's territory now. No, we don't need that. Luffy actually claimed Wano as his land, even though that's not the reason why he does it. Nevertheless, that adds to Luffy's territory, even further emphasizing he really is that next emperor, baby. And also adds to the fact of saying, if any one of you ever want to be pirates, I'll come get you immediately, no worries. And I'm like, hey, how about the one right there, the one that wanted to break free, the one that wanted to ride with you, child of Kaido, you know what I'm saying? Like, Yamato, you know, I'm just saying, Oda, please, for the love of God, I hope it's not too long until we get Yamato on the ship. I see some people with the slander on Yamato's name, like, you better stop, that Thunder Baguya hits. And we get a really solid moment for Momonosuke where he tells Kinemon, mark my words, I'm going to surpass my father, I'm going to surpass Kozuki Oden. So I kind of feel like the next time we really see Momonosuke, whether it's, you know, 10 years from now, God knows when One Piece will show them again, I feel like we're going to see a really strong version of him. He might even have the hat, the pot looking hat on his head, so to speak, the way Oden's character design was, and we'll really see the growth and maturity within him, because right now he got the look, he got some of the power with that dragon form. He's like a combination between Kaido and Oden, but yeah, he got a ways to go. And I ain't gonna lie, I just thought of something else. What was the point of Yamato not getting into the battle against Green Bull if the whole reason was, yo, you can't get in if you're not gonna stay on Wano? Then we gotta show that we can stand on our own 2 feet, only for Yamato to kind of ditch that whole thing. So a little bit contrary to what was being set up. I almost feel like if Oda at the 9th hour changed his mind on having Yamato join right away. I'm just keeping it real. And in classic One Piece fashion, because Kid antagonizes Luffy about going the easy way instead of going down the waterfall, yeah, we go splashing down hardcore, which it's for the best. I love it when One Piece, you know what I'm saying, they're pirates at the end of the day. They ain't too goody two shoes, so they go raffling down the freaking waterfall. And even with the end with the ceremony and Hiyori saying, which it kind of felt a little bit brutal, like, dog, Orochi was a piece of shit, but to say that the Kurozumi clan was born to burn, I was like, okay, are you a little bit prejudiced towards those Kurozumi? Poor Kurozumi, that if any of them are still around in Wano in any aspects of the lands, if they are even a decent person or good person, they're gonna burn. It's gonna be bad. And that concludes today's tale on our nation's renowned samurai. Final curtain, inherited will never fades. The ending, the final act of One Piece's Wano arc. And I ain't gonna lie, I feel even emotional talking about it right now, because, you know, again, with these arcs spanning so long, you get really freaking invested in this. Think about it, for 4 years, every week, minus, you know, the breaks and whatnot, you are in this tale, you're in the moment. So to see it finally come to a true close, I'm excited for the future, but also like reflecting. And Wano as a whole, I'm not gonna lie, it had its little pitfalls. It did feel like it was extending for a while. It did feel like it not necessarily overstayed its welcome, but it was like, okay, Oda, got a lot of random things going on, wrap it up. I would say it's probably the best arc of post time skip. I mean, what else really could you compare it to? And all of a sudden people are gonna love Whole Cake Island, even though people shitted on Whole Cake Island to all hell. Now we're gonna have a bunch of Whole Cake Island fans, aren't we? But yeah, I throw the argument that Wano is the best arc. I mean, Zoe was cool, but that was a short little run. Punk Hazard was dope, but in comparison to Wano, Kaido, Big Mom, everything that we accomplished, Luffy Gear 5th, Luffy becoming an emperor, red-haired Shanks at the 9th hour, knocking down Green Bull, like, no, Wano was the best arc post-time skip, and in fact, I'm gonna stand on that. I don't care what anybody says. It had its issues, it wasn't perfect, it did feel a little lengthy, pause, that's what she said, but amazing arc, and I absolutely loved it. And Oda, amazing. And it's not that I'm being an apologist, I've been there to criticize it. By no means is Wano perfect, but it's the best that we've gotten post time skip, and it was freaking legendary. 1,000 chapters, all sorts of insane stuff, all sorts of amazing stuff. Shout outs to One Piece, shout outs to Wano. Onward we go. We Are would have been more legendary, but it wouldn't have made sense. Yeah, okay. And despite that teary-eyed, heartfelt goodbye to the One Piece Wano arc, we must carry on, because now we've got to talk about the superheroes and the villains of the My Hero Academia series, with My Hero Academia, yes, I had to look at my notes, chapter 363. Now this chapter, for the most part, it probably wasn't on the level of the previous chapters per se. I think there was definitely some big moments in it, and also I feel like there was something in here where Horikoshi was trying to make up for a massive, I don't want to say blunder or error, but definitely maybe disappointment or letdown of a moment, and now he's probably going to make it even more grandiose for the closure of it. But let's start from the top, because everyone is reacting to Bakugo's death, so to speak, which I ain't gonna lie, I'm still gonna say that there is some miracle out there that he is not going to die. I don't care. I know people are like, oh, come on, FNAF, you know, you're ruining the moment, you're dragging us out of the moment, but let's be real about it. The most popular character of My Hero Academia, one of the biggest Shonen Jump manga ongoing right now, and in general will go on for a long time in one form or another, is not going to die. If I'm wrong, I'll be pretty happy to say, holy shit, Horikoshi didn't care. He didn't listen. He went with what he wanted to do. And even with all of the details we get in this chapter, I'm still gonna say I have my doubts. I don't think I'm wrong. I think we're gonna get some crazy revival, whether it be via the spirit of that predecessor and One for All, or whatever it is, he's coming back somehow, some way. Although it does feel very emotional, where we even get that, speech that he had where he said a declaration of, dog, we're going 4-0, no casualties this time around, let's freaking go, only for him to be the casualty. Yeah, that is pretty sad to say the least, if you believe it. If you believe in magic or quirks, because apparently not only does he have no pulse, his heart has been shattered into bits. So his heart is completely donezo. It's not just a puncture, it's not just that it's a little fractured. His heart is destroyed. So unless they come up with a mechanical heart or something there, Deku shows up on some Naruto during the 4th grade Shinobi War, I can revive people that are completely burnt to a crisp, it's going to be problematic. But another thing is that I feel like if he was going to die, we need that send-off moment with him and Deku anyway. Like, he would have to have died next to Deku, because we need that moment. They've been rivals, and the camaraderie and all that stuff of them together. For him to die without having that final goodbye with Deku, don't get me wrong, I think it would make for insane writing. But again, will it happen? And I hate to doubt, but I have them. And I don't care what anybody says. Yes, I am indeed a Shigaraki fanboy. Self-admitted. I'm here. I'm calling it, yes. But when Shimura was spitting in this chapter, and I'm talking about talking, he was spitting. When he was talking to the heroes and he started off going in on Aizawa saying, this is all y'all fault. Y'all put the weight of the world on a child's back and he died. Yeah, this one's on you guys, dog. That's facts. That's what I've been saying. Like, how are y'all putting these kids on the front lines? I get it. They got powers and all that stuff. But Deku, you could throw the argument, he got One for All. This is like some predestined shit. You gotta put him on there. But Bakugo, all of, like, no. It should have been people like Hawks. It should have been people like Best Genius. It should have been those people that were the true ones fighting through and through, because at the end of the day, we're still in the academia portion. These are still children. No matter how you want to slice it, a lot of these kids should not be on the front lines. Sure, they can assist. Sure, we need forces and all that stuff, but it should be Endeavor. It should be Hawks. It should be those people that are straight up going to combat, not Bakugo. So when he said that, Shimura, he was spitting. And I ain't gonna lie, I got a Bill Goldberg feel when he said, who's next? I was like, yes, that's my guy. I know that All for One is in there somewhere calling a lot of the shots, but I was rooting for the dog, because not only he was speaking truth to power, but then on top of that, he's just badass. And then Mirko trying to come in there, which at first I was there like, Mirko, what are you doing? This is not the time for that, although I'd be a hypocrite because I just said, hey, the pro heroes should be the ones on the front line. So I get it. And realistically, Mirko probably got the most heart, no pun intended, at Bakugo at all on that battlefield where Mirko attacks and she's there blaming herself, like, if only I would have been able to stop him back when he was in the chamber and all of that stuff. And once again, Shimura, he's right. Granted, now that I think about it, probably Shigaraki's too warped to really make any of these deductions or conclusions. That's pretty much All for One spitting, saying, is it really your fault? You had no backup. They didn't provide you any people to help you out in that plan. It wasn't your fault either. Like, he has a silver tongue. Like, no matter what, that's why I always say one of his strongest powers, All for One, is his ability to manipulate. Like, I'm there kind of like, well, he is right. Hey, there shouldn't be kids on the battlefield, and Mirko shouldn't have gone in there basically on her own and unprepared without forces and stuff like that. Once again, Shimura spitting. Is that like a, we need to put a counter or something, like, yo, Shimura just dominating with the realities of the situation. We could give all the optimistic bullshit. This is the reality. The Heroes Association failed you. But then we cut to a surprise that, like I said earlier, and this was the moment I was talking about, I feel like Horikoshi is making up for something that kind of felt a little lukewarm to me. And what I'm referring to is the fact that Dabi's back up. Dabi is back up. We got Ida and Shoto shocked as hell, as well as the rest of us, like, oh, I thought that was a done data. And I'll be honest with you, I feel like partially, maybe this was planned, but partially I feel like this is Horikoshi making up for the fact that the conclusion to Shoto versus Dabi wasn't as impactful as it should have been. That should have been like a legendary moment, considering we've been with this whole situation and this, you know, family domestic drama of the Todoroki family throughout damn near the whole series. Yeah, we deserved something better than the conclusion of that fight, the way it went. And, you know, I mean, it was symbolic, but the fact that he was able to copy the powers at the last second and bust out, like, come on, dog, come on, we're getting, you know, the return, the run back. And I feel like partially maybe Horikoshi thought, you know what, they're right, I could do something better, let me bring him back in for round 2. And I love how there's even a little bit of an explanation of Dabi said, yeah, I knew I probably should have went up against you first, and that's why he copied that move at the last second, was able to come out, even though he pretty much looks damn near charred. He's like a walking skeleton with flames around him at this particular point. And I don't know how they're gonna handle this one, although it kind of reminded me to a certain degree, and I know it's not gonna be the case, but it reminded me when Itachi was walking towards Sasuke as he's about to die, and he does the 2 fingers. Like, imagine that's what he does, all the flames go out and he puts 2 fingers on Shoto and dies right there. I will be like, Horikoshi, you've been watching a little too much Naruto. Now, I can almost assure you that that's not what's going to happen, at the very least, the finger situation, but who knows? Maybe it could be at the 9th hour, Dabi finally said, yo, I did a lot of crazy shit. I mean, I feel he's too warped to go down that route, and we would need a logical explanation why he finally decided to be a good person, but it seems like whatever conclusion is about to come, because he looks like a skeleton that's just on fire, I don't know how much longer Dabi can last. And Shimura once more spitting, so the counter is at 3 now, when he was like, yo, Deku was right to bring the fight to us, but he failed, dog, because we whipping ass. And then we got that dude, which this was part of the chapter I was like, okay, you know, the UA situation, that's probably the least interesting thing to me of this arc right now, is, you know, the UA tower or the floating device or whatever the heck, wherever they are right now. We got the hacker from the Liberation Army that he said, you know, fuck all for one and all that shit, I'm doing what I want to do, I want to help Shigaraki, I want to do the Redestro Destiny. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, I guess, you know, you knock down their headquarters, it's going to be a big blow to their morale and everything like that, and also there's some people up there. But yeah, I was kind of like, all right, we're progressing even further to showcasing, no, the villains, they're not taking an L right now, they're coming strong in full force. And then we cut to the end of the chapter where we see that the cooked, burnt up All For One is returning to his original form, seemingly his human form, and I feel like there has to be a purpose why Horikoshi has hid what he looks like all along. I don't know if they're gonna go in the direction of this is Deku's dad or whatever the case may be, which it feels cliche, but also it would be like, you know, the biggest twist in the world. My dad is the big villain all along. How would that affect Deku's mind state and all that stuff? So that very well could be the case, and that's why we're finally seeing his face for the first time. Like, you know, I mean, we didn't get to see the full-on face, one of his eyes was covered, but nevertheless, I'm wondering, is there any other reason why we never saw his face throughout the entire series up until now, other than that, hey, if anybody saw his face, it would have been like, oh shit, that's Deku's dad, what? Or at the very least, somebody that we know. Like, I think it would be a better subversion if he turned out to be related to somebody else besides Deku, because Deku already, you know, the chosen one for all of that good stuff, the vestige, like, he already got a lot. It would be more interesting if, like, I don't know, he was All Might's father, even though there's been no breadcrumbs, and that would kind of be like, where was the setup for all that? But I would personally prefer it to be somebody else, and it has logical reasoning behind it other than Deku. Maybe that's just me. And again, another twisted side of morale where he's like, yo, heroes protect, villains invade. It's time we march on and keep moving forward until our dreams come true. So yeah, it seems as though he's getting that Nakama boost power up that they've been speaking of. And I ain't gonna lie, for the most part, this chapter, it was a little bit emotional with the Bakugo stuff, assuming you feel a certain way about it, and I know I've harped on that enough, so let me leave that alone before people attack. Dabi getting a second wind. Again, depending on how Horikoshi plays it, I feel like he has room right now to make that moment way more impactful than it originally was. But ultimately, the star of the chapter for me personally was Shimura when he was spitting, telling the heroes why y'all putting children to fight, telling the heroes, yo, y'all failed Mirko. That was OP beastly dialogue, and just showing that, because a lot of that had to come from All For One. Again, one of his biggest superpowers is being able to talk people into a different mindset. But I'm curious what you guys think. For starters, what is Dabi's next move going to be? You think he'll have a change of heart at this particular point? Also, continuing on, you think Bakugo's dead? What do you think is the reason why All For One's face has been hidden all the way up until now? And your overall thoughts and expectations for the future of My Hero Academia's manga with chapter 364 and beyond. Decent chapter, but definitely a build up for something a lot more grandiose, hopefully next week. Now, moving on to a chapter that, while it was a decent chapter for the most part, definitely I'm kind of ready for this little event to wrap up, so to speak. And I know it's only been a few chapters, but the fight kind of isn't the most exciting to me personally, despite the fact that my favorite character of Jujutsu Kaisen is involved in it. Yes, Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 194, Maki and Noritoshi Kamo versus Naoya continues. Maki is pinned down to the ground, essentially down bad. Maybe it's just me, or it was clearer than ever that, yeah, there's death flags ringing all over for Noritoshi Kamo, between the fact that he's losing massive amounts of blood and the fact that Maki decided to pull a Goku Kid Buu arc where she's like, give me 5 minutes, because Maki is knocked down on the ground. Apparently, according to Noritoshi, hey, yo, you got internal organ damage, you really messed up. And I'm just like, what type of monster is Maki to say, no, I'm really okay, give me 5 minutes to heal? Like, you're, you know what I'm saying, you're more human than anything. So to only need 5 minutes to heal, she has truly become a monster through and through. And I'm ready to see Maki tear this dude up. I'm ready to see this piece of shit that came back as a curse go back to wherever the hell, pun intended, he came from. Because Maki, like I said, says, yo dog, give me about 5 minutes, and the odds are 8-2 that they could even survive, which, yeah, again, death flags galore for Noritoshi, because if Maki isn't even going to be involved, we see throughout the chapter, he's getting tossed around like a freaking ragdoll by Naoya. And shout out to Maki that she's so epic, she's on Toji's level, to be able to hide her energy, that Naoya's like, yo, where is she at? She's on that Toji level. Yes, baby, best character, best female, best everything of Jujutsu Kaisen is indeed on Toji's level. Well, I don't know about level per se, because I think Toji would have took Naoya out for a freaking walk and slapped the living book out of him. But yeah, Maki is that gal. And despite Noritoshi Kamo's best efforts trying to poison using blood, but also again extreme blood loss, it's clear that it probably even fits perfectly for him to die. Granted, I don't know which way Gege is going to go with it, but between the flashbacks of his family and feeling like what his mother would say at this particular point, because he failed to become the head of the Kamo clan, it seems to me that it's pretty freaking clear Gege Akutami is kind of destined and pushing forward to kill off Noritoshi Kamo. And I ain't gonna lie, I wouldn't be necessarily that mad about it. It's not like I'm a big Noritoshi fan, and it kind of fits perfectly and would also show the cruelty and chaos of going up against a cursed spirit that also contains and, you know, remains with that same mindset and personality that they had prior to death, especially somebody as wicked as Naoya. And he says, if I'm no longer needed, let me set my life ablaze so pretty much my friends can live right. And then we get like random invaders from other zones of, you know, the culling game showing up. I ain't gonna lie, it was an aight chapter, but I'm definitely ready for Maki to come and slash this dude down. Please let these 5 minutes finish up within the next chapter, because it's just this big stupid monster. And Naoya, at the end of the day, yeah, he's Naoya, so to speak, but I don't like the dude. I want to see him hurt and get the fuck up out of here, considering, yo, you have Maki on the ground pinned down, dog. Maki, please kill Bill, the boys, Kimiko, do all of that in one and take this dude out. So I'm looking forward to wrapping this thing up. I hope it's not too many more chapters, because seeing Maki being tossed around like a rag doll, that's not the monster, okay? I want to see the monster that is just going to be vicious, ruthless, and finish this dude off with, I don't know, epicness. So yeah, decent chapter, not really too much to say other than death flags for Noritoshi Kamo, very heavy. Maki needing 5 minutes to repair internal organ damage. What type of monster are we dealing with here? And some other invaders from other areas of the culling game, like, get Naoya the fuck up out of here, I'm saying. Which leads us into the final chapter of the night, so to speak, Chainsaw Man 2, aka Chainsaw Man chapter 102. And I'm glad to say, after all the moaning, after all the complaints, after all the fans were already abandoning Chainsaw Man, after a few slow build-up chapters that we've had, that Chainsaw Man came swinging and had one of my favorite chapters of the week. Again, we'll talk about the best chapters here in a few minutes after I get done with Chainsaw Man. Relax, because Denji back, baby. Denji back, our freaking favorite idiot. Because Asta and Yuko are running for their lives from this, what I thought was a bat, but apparently it gets clarified that it was a cockroach devil? Like, what? Like, no, that was damn near the same design as that freaking devil from the very first part with Power, the cat, and all that stuff. Holy shit. That was also a cat-centric. God damn, dog. Talk about using the template, but making some crazy different twist to it. Like, wow. And Yoru continues trying to get Asta to go down that dark route, saying, yo, dog, because Yuko, as they're running, falls over, gets stabbed in the leg, which I'm still going to say I wouldn't be surprised if Yuko wasn't Denji. Maybe Yuko was involved somehow, some way with the association, regardless, the Devil Hunter Association, and that's probably a trick because kind of lines up perfectly to question and test Asta's morale. Despite having the War Devil within her, it would be a great test. Like, let's see if this person is good or not, because Yoru's trying to encourage, yo, she's down right now. Kill her, turn her into a weapon, and we might have a shot at stopping this thing. But it also had just so much more deeper layers to it, and that's what I love about Chainsaw Man, that it's not just cut and dry per se. Yeah, there could have been a test right there, who knows, or it could have just been straight up, hey, is Asta going to be a good person or not? But above all else, it really dives into Asta's character and showcases just what really happened to her mother, but also what type of person she is. Because Yoru goes even further to say, I know you. You weren't sorry that Bucky died. You're just sorry that somebody saw you killing Bucky and, you know, the whole thing that happened. And I was kind of like, oh, I mean, Yoru is, if anybody knows Asta at this point from everybody that we know, it would be Yoru, the person in her head. Hello. And for her to say that, I'm kind of looking at Asta like, this is slow embers for an internal struggle that I wouldn't be surprised is going to lead to Asta again being the big villain, because this dark side of her that is not only Yoru, but within her as well, is not going to just vanquish because she made a good choice and the best choice right now. Hello, that's still going to be there, on top of the fact that you got influence from Yoru in her head saying, be bad, kill your friend. And I love that aspect too of on the night that Asta died, that, you know, Yoru's reminding her, like, didn't you say you were going to live selflessly in the second half of your life? Like, what are you doing saving people? And that's where I'm looking at again. If that is a part of Asta, that's not going to go away just with, you know, her saving Yuko. That is going to be something that is going to be a reoccurring theme with Chainsaw Man 2. I'm calling it. And even then, Asta kind of hesitated at first. Like, do I get that axe and just chop this bitch down? But ultimately makes the righteous decision and picks up Yuko and starts running with her. And I love how it wasn't even just then. Like, that could have easily been like, boom, run, then the Denji situation happens, but it dives even further into Asta's character and who she is. And again, Fujimoto was building this character for a reason. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be that, hey, she's the new MC, Denji's just going to play secondary to this whole situation or whatnot, but clearly giving us more contextualization as to the well-rounded and diverse character that Asta is through and through. Because as she's running, she falls over with Yuko and thinks back like, oh yeah, I forgot, I always end up tripping and falling at the most important moment. And apparently in the past, what happened to Asta's mom is that as they were running from a monster, a devil, she stopped to pick up a cat and fell over, and her mom ended up, you know, paying the price. She pushed Asta out the way so Asta and the cat could escape, and that's how Asta lost her mother in the past. So kind of adding layers to Asta of, this is why she feels that way. This is probably why, despite Yoru being there, she is still a little bit more of a colder and reserved person. She's been through some shit. So this is not just like some innocent kid or anything like that. She's already a little bit kind of traumatized. And even further adding to Asta's kind of coldness is we get that flashback of something we didn't see during the exchange between Asta and Yuko. When Yuko offered the sneakers, she said, you think you're saving me, don't you? Did I ask to be rescued? I'd rather be bullied than pitied. And I am gonna lie, I felt that. I feel that to a certain degree, and I know maybe that's ego talking, that's pride in there, but ultimately, yeah, I don't want nobody to ever pity me. So I was fucking with Asta immensely there, and it made me like her even more. That wasn't Yoru, that was her speaking. Like, I get it, yeah, don't pity me. Don't do none of that shit, even if it's at my own expense. Like, let me rock out, and regardless of what, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. So showing also inner strength in Asta that she doesn't necessarily need Yoru for. It just needs to be unlocked. I don't know, summon Shenron and unlock your hidden potential. Hey, Yay!
Dragon Ball Superhero the film out now in theaters. Cut the check for Fornev for mentioning it, motherfuckers.
But we also see that Yuko had somewhat of a just heart, because her response to that was, oh, I don't care about your feelings. As long as I know my heart is in the right place, even if I make mistakes, that's okay, because I know I did what I thought was right. And I was like, yo, first of all, that felt like some really wise words from a high school student, but also that's pushing even further to help mold Asta's character, and also add to, it's going to be internal strife. It's not going to be cut and dry with this character if that is also an integral part of her, not Yoru's influence, her. But for the moment, it allowed Asta to make the decision, and she says, yo, I want to live like that. I want to live in a righteous path of being a good person. And then boom, Fujimoto was like, alright, y'all need to shut up already. Okay, you want Denji, here you go, because Chainsaw Man comes through swinging. And I was like, yes, here we fucking go. And I hope that's not just the last we're going to see of him again for a bunch of chapters. Like, hello, I want to see Asta kind of interact with him. I want to see him talk. I want to see Denji, not only Chainsaw Man. So that's something where I'm kind of like, how are we going to play this? Like, imagine this is all in her head and Chainsaw Man never showed up, and it was actually her and Yoru that were able to stop the cockroach devil. Like, that would be crazy. It's not what's happening, because clearly at the end it was on a news broadcast that Chainsaw Man was a hero, but it would have been interesting. And also even showing further the difference between like Dragon Ball Superhero. No, the difference between a hero and Denji is when the cockroach devil throws him and says, ah, you want to side with humans? You want to play hero? Bet. Either save this person, this kid with a bright future, or these old fogies in this car. Either way, somebody got to die. Kind of bringing me back to, is it Batman Forever, where Batman got to either save Robin or his love interest? Was it Batgirl, or I fucking forget. But ultimately, that's that, you know, split decision for a hero, and I love it that it subverted everybody's expectations of, nah, he ain't gonna save everybody, he don't give a fuck about none of them. And it goes back to even tying into part 1 where I saw a cat falling off the roof, dude. Like, no. So the kid dies, the old fogies in the car die, but he managed to save a cat. And they also report it like that, which shout out to fake news. And I ain't gonna lie, that shit was hype. Best chapter of Chainsaw Man 2 thus far, hands down. I mean, it has to be. It got Denji, it got Chainsaw Man going in, and I love all of the other stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, yes, I love seeing Chainsaw Man, Denji, all of that stuff, but beneath it all, I really appreciated what Fujimoto was doing with building up Asta Mitaka's character, that there's more to her than meets the eye. We're gonna see more struggles, and on top of that, you got Yoru influencing the bad side of her. We might have the next Makima here. We're seeing the early stages of fighting within, but yeah, it might swing in a different direction, and I'm looking forward to it. But curious what you guys think about this one. Do you think we're gonna get more Denji moving forward, or he's not gonna be in the next chapter? He's just gonna run off? What do you think about him not saving the humans and saving the cat? Like, is it just the stupidity of Denji, or is it more so a message? Like, I mean, I guess the whole thing of, yo, even if I make mistakes, if my heart's in the right place, who cares, right? The overall thoughts and expectations for Chainsaw Man 103 moving forward. What a hell of a chapter. I loved it. And now here's the part of the show where I let you guys know my best chapters of the week. And like I said, despite them not being included in this episode because they'll get their own single videos, their monthlies, this is the weekly grind show, so to speak, winner take all. The number 1 through 7, I guess we'll start from 7 up, right? Of my favorite chapters and the best chapters of what I thought for this week are as follows. At number 7, Jujutsu Kaisen. Dope chapter, mainly just action though, and I'm kind of ready to get past this little portion, but still, shout outs to Jujutsu Kaisen regardless. Number 6, My Hero Academia. Really awesome stuff happening, but for the most part, a lot of build-ups to what's to come. So it's planting the seeds of probably epic and iconic moments for the series. Number 5, Black Clover. Short chapter, but by golly, yo, the despair that has entered this series with Asta. Like, jeez Louise. Number 4, Chainsaw Man. Denji's back, baby. Enough said. Also, just everything that was done with Asta Mitaka's character. I loved it. Number 3, the GOAT piece, One Piece wrapping up Wano. Love to freaking see it. Don't get me wrong. I wish certain aspects would have swung a certain way. But yeah, man, talk about closing a chapter of your life, and One Piece time marker for your life. Number 2, after a 2-month hiatus, Boruto 72. Oh my god, I was so happy that the manga started to pick up and we're entering potentially a big war. And yeah, Boruto, shout outs immensely to it. And number one, not only a surprise to probably everybody that watches this channel and has watched me, but also to myself, Dragon Ball Super. I ain't gonna lie, talk about a way to save the end of an arc, talk about a way to close the end of an arc. I know some people are calling cliche, I know some people are saying, oh my god, like, you know, we've seen this and that for a million times, but I absolutely loved it. I think it also raised the stakes even further for this ongoing situation in Dragon Ball Super. And yeah, it got me reinvigorated for the whole damn series, where I for months didn't even want to talk about it. So that says a lot in my book. And those are my 7 again. Number 1, Dragon Ball Super. 2, Boruto. 3, One Piece. 4, Chainsaw Man. 5, Black Clover. 6, My Hero. And 7, Jujutsu Kaisen. You could go over to the community tab and vote for your favorite chapter or the best chapter or whatever the heck at this point, because people seemingly vote for whatever the hell they want of the week, and let me know. But that's all I have for this one. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day, and remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day, peace in, and remember, the winner takes all. Have an awesome one.
I have a dream, alone in my room as I sit with the tea. Couldn't possibly think what I often see, and you don't even know how I often blink. Lights be flashing and looking at me, such an odd unique, yet I'm so unique and you're looking at me. If the walls could talk, they would probably read bleak, and I'd probably say, bitch, get the fuck off me.